Hello, adventurers, and welcome to Roll for Bluff, our talk show discussing the events of our ongoing campaign, Bards and Nobles. I'm your host, Sam. I play Calmine, the tiefling #roguelock. That is the rogue warlock. You can check out the merchandise for that new mismatch of subclasses on our Redbubble. To my right, we have Tristan, who plays Sorn Thunderfist, our Goliath barbarian. And to my other side, we have Brandon, who plays our DM and everybody else. They'll be joining me tonight as my co-hosts, as well as my hellhounds, in tonight's adventure of Retreat and Repose. Now,
tonight's a special issue.
Tonight's a little bit special. We've sort of taken the last two episodes of our campaign and sort of combined them into one Roll for Bluff. So we'll be covering more material time-wise, but because of the way that the episodes turned out, it's not going to feel like two separate episodes just jammed in one. So
I mean, we should. To kind of clarify, that first session that we're covering today was just all combat.
Yeah, we'll let you know when there's the break between the first session and the next session, so you're not just like, wait, what ended?
Everything.
So, I mean, we started with you guys after having Fox show up and pretty much sow the seeds of, like, unity, kind of. Because he decided to, be so much of a jerk that you guys were like, man, we hate that guy. You hate that? I hate that guy. We don't hate that guy.
common enemy.
So it kind of brought the group together, which, helped you focus on the mission at hand. Which was a small step in the right direction towards group unity again. So... from there, you guys decided, let's go scope out the area. To which you learned that Solomon had something very useful for hiding.
Yeah.
More useful than the rogue can do.
Right?
A hut.
Which he made Lenneman's tiny hut.
A tiny hut. That, is pretty cool.
Yeah.
For many
Especially
reasons.
if you are in the middle of a forest and can cover your thing with leaves and stuff. And then it's just you can't see it.
Or like maybe on a sandy beach.
Just a mound of weird
sand, yeah.
It's a sand hut.
I don't think that would go so well, but sure.
We'll try it.
Okay. Give it
You
a
usually
shot.
dig a hole and you put the hut in the hole.
There you go.
Oh my god,
This guy's
no.
thinking.
Oh boy. Anyway, you took in your surroundings and made like a little makeshift like box set.
Right.
Yeah.
To hide the hut in.
Yes.
So you guys could be, if anyone looked in, they wouldn't be able to see you because it would just be dark.
Right.
And then you guys could still see out. Especially with Solomon's second useful thing of the night, giving you all the ability to have, for 10 minutes, an unending dark vision sight.
Yeah, that was definitely nice.
Because it was in the middle of the night that we're doing this.
Yeah. Without that, you guys have been like, whoever didn't have dark vision would be like,
It's dark.
maybe something's going on. We can't hear anything because it's raining. So that drowned out anybody's ability to hear and really smell anything. So because of that, you guys had the ability to actually see things.
Right.
Yeah.
So clutch moments. And then who came walking up?
Well, Drondra came to the docks. He was the guy who kind of gave Leon the job in the first place.
Because of Soren.
Because of Soren. Yeah. And so he kind of joined us, and together with him we sort of formulated a plan. He knew generally where the ship was going to be arriving and, roughly kind of what the situation would be like, depending on who the gang was that was delivering, depended on how, the refugees were going to be set up or if they were going to be shackled together or separately. So we kind of took a little bit, formulated a bit of a plan, and then we noticed
some fine fellows walking their dogs. Well, a fine fellow walking his dogs.
A fine, not shady at all fellow walking his normal, completely not terrifying regular dog.
We're talking about displacer beasts.
Well, yeah.
Clockwork displacer beasts. Totally normal.
They're just dogs. They're just
They're
big cat
just
dogs.
dogs.
They're big cat dogs with tentacles.
Nothing weird.
So we were like,
Huge.
that's not good.
That's clearly the Forge.
That's clearly a bad.
Now, it should be noted that we did kind of like, what if the Forge is showing up, guys? So we kind of, it was like that.
You mentally prepared yourself.
Right. It was like
Yeah.
that, what's the worst case scenario? Clockwork. Okay. That could be the worst of everything. And sure enough, It's the worst of it.
But at least you guys didn't like, oh, it's just going to be some thugs, and then Clockwork showed me you guys
I
we weren't
mean,
prepared.
real talk, I thought it was just going to be some thugs. I didn't even think about the Clockwork until you had mentioned it. So
I tend to plan for the worst.
I mean, you are in, like, the worst city in the north.
that's why I was thinking thugs.
Yes, that's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Ha!
It's
Billy
just
the Thug.
it's just Raviscon, whatever.
No biggie.
Nope. So we were still, keeping an eye out. Cal was keeping focused on the Clockwork and this mysterious figure, and Solomon and Drondra were keeping out for the ship. So when the ship arrived, it was kind of like, okay, how do we time this? Like,
Because they had walked away, though.
the displaced release and the mysterious figure kind of walked off. So we were trying to sort of time it so that we could get to the refugees before they potentially came back.
Before they were back at the ship.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, you guys talked like, okay, if they spot us, we're going to run. So you guys planned
Yes.
that if they were coming
Yeah.
on their way back, you had a plan to be like, leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. First it was, I don't remember who it was that initially got off the ship. It was one of the...
It was just a thug.
It was like a
guys,
half
yeah.
orc.
It was a half orc. Yeah, he was just like a big burly dude.
And
Yeah.
then he led about 15 refugees who were all chained together off the ship. And then there was a hobgoblin behind him.
Yep, who was bringing up the rear. And Adrano was like, and action, water wall.
Yeah.
And
So
then-
as soon as they got to the point where like the dock met with the boardwalk, and like the last refugee had passed, Drondra pulled up a wall of water between the hobgoblin and the end of the refugees. So there was one of our problems was sort of temporarily blocked off.
The second problem was not really an issue as soon as Soren went up and was like, oh, this is going to be like a fight with this guy, and then you learn that it was just a guy.
Yeah.
And killed him.
But I mean, everybody
Wow.
kind of had their roles because, Cal and Moreno went to go, lead the refugees away while the three tanks sort of, did
Tanks.
their tanky business. But that was where things kind of stopped going our way.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know what,
You
like,
know.
what are you saying, like,
So
hounds?
right before we attacked, I got a natural 20 on perception while keeping an eye out on them, and I heard the howling of a hellhound. So I'm like, great, there's more than just displaced beasts and mysterious figures.
There's
And
also
then-
Clockwork Hellhound.
Sure enough, Clockwork Hellhounds and the Displacer Beasts and the Mysterious Figures come back to the docks, and we sort of find ourselves, like, surrounded.
In
Is it-
total, it was...
Because it was the spellcaster.
There's
Two
two
spellcasters.
spellcasters.
Well, to start
to
with.
start with,
To
yes.
start with, once we threw up the water wall, took care of one guy, turned, and then it was the spellcaster, 2 displacer beasts, and 5 hellhounds.
Yay.
Yeah.
Which
And then-
I mean, to your luck and how, like, the perception and planning and everything, they had to use their entire movement to get there.
Right.
So they were entire movement in action to dash there. So you had a turn on them.
Right.
Instead of it being like, they're in it, they're hitting you. You had to turn to be like, okay.
Which was fortunate. And then on the other side of us,
When we turned to run,
there was another spellcaster, and they had, was it
3 more.
3 more? A Hellhound, 2 Displacer Beasts?
they
they
just had more hellhounds.
They just had the Hellhounds. Okay.
Clockwork everywhere. The
So-
dock was really clicking with business.
Yeah. Ha 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 ha.
I need to clock out of here.
Get out. So, naturally, as things happen, a fight ensued.
And this fight took a long time just because the amount of...
Yeah, I did this to myself. But also, I mean, this is one of the fights that I'm okay with because it wasn't like a fight where it was like a true slog. It was because of how everything was positioned and the how things were going and like what you had to do. I thought this was a very interesting battle because you had to worry about the people,
Yeah.
balance the two sides, while also fighting and getting
Yeah.
away. So I thought that made it more of like, you guys seemed really invested into this. You guys are like, okay, if you move here and they do that, then there's a move of this. And you guys are like all calculating, and it wasn't just like I hit, they hit, I hit, they hit. So it's not like a back and forth. It was a very position heavy battle because you guys didn't
Yeah.
want to be too close to each other because then they would just
Well, and I think the other thing, like, I know for me, since Hannah and Chris weren't here for this episode, I was doing combat for both Lyran and Solomon and
Right.
Cal. So for me, it was like any turn that I wasn't doing something, I was like, all right, who's next? What are they doing on this turn? What makes sense? I was planning, like, 5 steps ahead with that because I had so much.
And I would love to get for us to get an initiative tracker where I can just put enemies and like stack it, so then like you guys can see who's the initiative.
Yeah.
So you guys can visually plan it instead of just waiting for me.
I mean, fortunately, like, I got lucky because the 3 that I was playing were spread out enough that it was like, okay, Lyran's up first. All right, then who's later in the... Okay, so then Solomon, and then Cal. So I knew that there was breaks
a rotation
in between,
to go through.
but I had, like, a rotation to go through. So, more or less, Cal started running, and had the refugees, like, follow her.
Right.
You went towards the Displacer Beasts, and the one spellcaster. Solomon went the same way as you did.
As did Lyran.
And then Morena... I thought she was going to run, but she wound up sort of chilling there.
She went after the other spellcaster.
For a little bit to go after the other spellcaster.
Which worked in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if she didn't, you would have been polymorphed.
Yeah.
And sucks a cat.
That we'll get to that.
So, yeah. So, good. I mean, accidental good planning.
Yeah, it was hard because of how the refugees were, because they were all chained together. Like
Their movement was not as much as they could have been. They definitely were stuck together.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also I think we had also flooded the Displacer Beast, seeing how they can also almost count as 2 with their shifting, essentially.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, let's get the heavy hitters with multiple hits in one area, so that way, if we need to, we can use those multiple hits to find them and take them down.
Right.
Versus, spellcasters be like, area of effect, area of effect, area of effect.
I mean, compared to when you first fought them, which you guys, I love the reaction you guys had. It made me so happy as DM. You guys like, oh, Displacer Beast, oh, we had such a rough problem. But that was like almost 5 levels ago. So,
and yet they still stick horribly in the memories.
Exactly, but you guys, that's like a good growing moment. You guys are like, oh, these guys are going to be so hard. And then when you start to fight, you're like, wait, I have multiple attacks. I can miss once.
Yeah.
And still actually get a hit in.
I felt like we got really lucky with the Displacer Beast, though, because I felt like almost every single hit was a hit.
Well, I think what it was is we adjusted how we play with, because with the original when we fought the Displacer Beast, you had them so that you would put 2 on the board.
Yeah, and they couldn't get around you.
And you had to pick which one to hit to see if one of them was
that's
it.
true.
But since they couldn't get around us, it was just they were moving essentially back and forth, so that we just had to roll with disadvantage this time. Versus roll to see if you even hit the one to see if it's the vision or not.
Which it's a homebrew thing, especially because these are clockwork. That's part of their homebrew clockwork, is being able to do that separation. Displacer Beast normally can't do that. Can't be on both sides of you.
Right.
To do that, there would be shifting and disadvantage. But the clockworks, that's innately to them. So before you tap in those comments about that's not normal, it's the homebrew monster.
No, it's not normal. It's homebrew.
It's a homebrew. It's the homebrew monster, and that's why they're able to. If you guys were to ever fight a normal Displacer Beast, you never have to worry about that. You'll crush it.
So and then at one point, Drondra dropped his wall of water, and then threw up a wall of stone separating out the side that had the more majority of the monsters, which was fortunate.
It was most of the Hellhounds
and one of the spellcaster, which is high enough where he couldn't see over it.
Yeah, which was good.
Like a 10-foot high
wall. After that happened, then Cal got polymorphed into a cat.
Yes.
Which Cat Cal.
You get the intelligence of the animal.
And Cat Cal was very frightened. Cat Cal was like, there's big scary doggos, and there's a bunch of people.
He got swarmed by the refugees to protect.
Swarmed by the refugees, and I'm like, oh my god, there's people. So Cat Cal just did what Cal was going to do anyway, and kept running.
Except for the fact that you wouldn't have run, you would have maybe took some pot shots.
Yeah, I probably would have
instead of just
cat
bolting.
But that didn't last for too long, and then
because Morena
was able to be like, no.
We're going to stop that. And then went Everard's Black Tentacles.
Which took care of the 2
literal
Hellhounds.
half the board.
And as well as the sorcerers. Now, at this point, some of the refugees had gone down due to...
They were attacked by hellhounds.
They were attacked by hellhounds, and I feel like there was a fireball in
there. Well, because especially at this point, we realized that they don't care about the refugees as much anymore, because they realized something, that you were there.
Yeah. Me as Sam this didn't click in my head at the moment.
It clicked in their eyes.
Yeah.
Ha! Ha! Okay, so the reason how they knew...
Well, because it should be noted, Cal, up to this point, is still in disguise, looking like a human, more or less.
Yeah.
Looking like Angelique, the red-headed beauty. They realized this because, I mean, you guys didn't get a chance to investigate. But you learned it later, so I'm okay with telling it now because it's important for the moment. That one of their eyes was replaced by a clockwork eye that gave them true sight. So they could see through your deception.
The magical deception, yeah.
Which is, it wasn't made to hunt you. It was made to keep...
Hunt in general.
It was made to take it, so if people were, since they're constantly getting slaves, so no one was trying to deceive them.
Right.
So they could be like, oh, those are just a bunch of sheep. Or those are people who are going to attack us. They could see through it.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, then... I'm trying to think like order of events, just because there were so many things.
The tentacles kind of, the hellhounds and the dude could not break out of the tentacles.
Which was super lucky.
Yeah, they kept rolling super low. And then for the longest time, the hellhounds and the guy on the other side couldn't break through the stone wall because they weren't rolling above
stones AC.
Like a 14.
Yeah.
They couldn't hit the stone's AC.
It made it a little easier to not only like knock off the ones that were on the other side, like on our side of the wall, but also for us to get some ground to escape. So that made it easier. And then eventually the guy that was behind the wall, the spellcaster, decided that he was going to use Blink.
Because his dogs were useless and he was like, I gotta do something.
Which didn't go well for him initially.
He blinked out for 2 whole turns.
Yeah.
And then blinked back in.
So
in the middle of like nowhere, like prime spot.
But by the time he had blinked back in, we'd already taken care of quite a few of the Displacer Beasts and the Hellhounds. So it was a lot easier.
Just standing by himself in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Just like, oh, you're out in the open.
Because Blink, you don't get to choose. It says a random location that you can see and then 10 foot within that location. And I've already picked where he was going to just show up, which was 60 feet straight in front of him.
Yeah. So after they eventually broke through the wall, we'd already taken out some, so it was an easier fight. At one point, I had Solomon cast invisibility and then use his ability
after he had already
fly.
gotten beat up a lot.
Yeah.
Because hellhounds eventually broke through.
Right.
And when they did,
all the hellhounds go at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had it so it wasn't like Hellhound 1, Hellhound 2, Hellhound Cow, Hellhound 3, Hellhound... No, it's all the hellhounds at once because it's a lot easier to do groups because that's the easiest way to function it. I mean, if I didn't, we would have been spending 3 hours.
Yeah.
So, they just went, hello there, monkey man.
And he was like... They're like, oh crap, he's gone.
He ran away.
So he used his ability to fly to sort of just like invisibly fly away.
Because it's as long as they're in he's in dimmer darkness, he can fly.
Yeah.
Which he did. Especially with his mace.
And
sheds
then
dim light.
after a couple more like long distance things, we pretty much took care of them.
Yeah, the hellhounds attempted to use their bell.
Their little bell howl, So Solomon's wisdom save is, like, ridiculous, and I don't know how he failed a couple times, but...
He did.
Rolls.
Yeah.
So everyone was at least took some damage from the house at one point, through all the different ones.
Except me.
Except for you.
Cal never got hit once.
Somehow has the worst wisdom.
Rogue in the background.
It's the rogue in the background who's running away.
Yeah, but you still had to roll. You just didn't take damage.
But I hadn't taken any damage, so it didn't do anything. Yeah.
So yeah, it was fortuitous for you.
Yeah, I actually ended that fight with more health than I started with.
Yeah, because you had Solomon doing temporary hit points for people.
Yeah.
So you made it. You did it.
And we should say also that we saw Morena release a little bit of her tension by getting rid of some...
Oh, yeah.
Because she had risen those tentacles. They had grabbed people. And like Brandon said, they could not escape these tentacles. So she decided to just almost like slaughter these people eventually by just like, well, they took more damage. How do you want to do it? By putting the tentacles in their body.
Oh, all right. And that's how Everard's black tentacles killed a bunch of people.
Or Sorcerer 2 Hellhounds, to be exact.
It was fun.
And then one Hellhound that was free was like, I'm going to attack this one. And attacked Morena until she killed that one.
Yeah.
Like, what am I get to? And she's like...
She was MVP this round.
Yes.
Yeah. Solomon and Morena.
Yeah.
Coming in clutch with abilities and their attacks.
Yeah, it was nice.
It's good to have new people, huh?
Right? So after we defeated that, and we think, okay, this is not too bad. We've only lost 2 refugees, and we're good. And then we hear this like massive noise, and we see this hooded figure holding a chain, and attached to this chain is a clockwork storm giant. And that's where we ended the first session. So that's technically the end of the first episode. Like I said, that first episode had a lot of combat, so it took a lot of time.
Yes.
It was interesting combat, but combat.
Yeah.
But it was just a lot of combat. A lot of people to go through.
Which happens.
It happens. There's some sessions where you go through where the entire thing, like all 4 hours is going to be combat. It happens.
I try and cut that to a minimum, but it's probably going to happen someday.
Yeah.
Not soon, though.
So
And we'll get into that.
Jump into the next episode. We start off, and we're there, and by this point, Hannah and Chris have joined us, so we've got the full cast on.
Yay!
And we were just like, you know what? We're gonna run
Who
because
needs this? I don't need this.
yeah. I at one point I was like, Cal's like, I didn't sign up for this, and we're just gonna go.
To which you guys had a lucky break when it saw you, and the spotlight in its eye fixated on you, and you could visibly tell that because the refugees were running away,
Yeah.
and the head was just like. Hey,
So we're like, okay, let's break away from these innocent people.
Save those people! We're going this way!
But that giant caught up with us quick. Because
Yeah, it
of
got
its
50 feet of
movement.
movement. So, and you guys had, it also has a long range and spells. So, it had the good chance to get up to you.
Yeah.
And you guys, did your thing to get a little bit farther away, but it...
And then Solomon, once it got closer, used banishment. Which
It took him 2 times to do it, which I had forgot. Because it was a charisma save. I was like, oh, because my head, I'm thinking, we didn't know what kind of giant it was at first.
Right.
So I was like, oh, and the charisma's not going to be that great. But then
Storm giants are.
he brought it up that it was a storm giant. I was like, crap, storm giants have great charisma.
Yeah, even with the +9,
After the second time,
it didn't roll. It rolled a 13 total.
well, I mean, that DC is pretty high, too. A DC of 17 for charisma.
But with a +9, that leaves a good majority of the die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can be rolled to break it.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be a DC 15.
Yeah. So yeah, popped out of existence for a minute. Which in combat, that's great. Out of combat, you guys got like 2 things done. You guys ran away, and then ran away.
Yeah.
And began to when you began to run away, you noticed because of his sense, and then he rounded a corner, and you guys were the only ones in this like larger alleyway. Woodhull,
Our good friend Woodhull.
The Dragonborn Pit Fighter.
who looked at where the giant just was, looked at all 5 of you, and was like,
You may pass.
go ahead, I'm not going to try and fight you alone. Which I think the entire group was kind of like taken aback by it. They're like, really? Okay then.
Yeah. We're like, okay, thanks, bye.
That's right, we just killed that giant. Let us go.
He's not dumb. He saw all 5 of you, and a giant disappeared, and he's able to put the math together and go, huh, there's 1 of me, 5 of them. I could take 1 down, but then I'd die, and I don't want to die today. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
And so he let you pass, and then you guys heard a sound overhead.
And we looked up, and it was
An airship.
containing a half-elf
Fred.
who we hadn't met before. But as soon as Fred was like, yeah, Mary sent me, we're like, oh,
That's the
dope.
airship.
I
It's
think
that
I was like,
one.
oh, cool. A
And he's
deal
like,
worked
"Do
in
you
my
guys-
favor.
Do you guys want help? Yeah, we want help.
Here, get on. Here's the ladder.
He threw down a rope.
It's a ladder.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was just a regular rope.
No,
it was a wooden ladder.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like it's one of the ones, due to the magical nature, it was a one that it goes down, like, as it rolls out, and then it clicks into position.
Gotcha.
So then it's easier to, if you need, you can keep a part where it's, like, you can just pull it up and it'll turn into rope as you pick it up.
Mm.
So, we start climbing up this ladder. Marina just
That
one on that. And so Cal calls out to Soren, like, use your ring and grab her.
Now everyone else was in the ship because Miranda was last, so she's the only one to grab. Everyone else is in the ship, and it's like, crap. Alrighty, whee! Come here, whee!
And that's when you heard, as it popped back into existence.
And we're like, oh snap, time to leave.
We don't need this roof of the house anymore.
Picked up a building. And
then rolled a nat 1.
Yep.
It's great. Gotta wonder what the consequences of that were.
It probably would have hit the airship.
No, I mean, like, of the nat 1, I wonder what it did hit.
Oh, it hit just a bunch of buildings.
Okay.
It just, like...
No one was harmed. It was fine.
You know what? Sure. As far as Cal knows, no one was harmed.
Good.
As far as I know as the DM for this show, about 20 people died. Because there were people that got picked up.
Let me be naive just this once.
And then it into multiple buildings. Because Selvin is a very packed town.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one building falls and could fall into another and then on to people. Sea Leaf is... I'm just kidding. No, that'd be really dark.
Sea Leaf's gone.
Sea Leaf is alive. He left.
Yes, he did.
So
that day was his last day. Yeah.
You heard, while you were leaving, you heard a bunch of people, like, attacking, and you heard Marjorie Cheesebomb, Fireball!
And then you rolled perception to get you got, I think, another, like, natural 20 or something, or you rolled really high.
Yeah, I think I rolled, like, a 20 or something ridiculous.
And
like
you
that.
heard, Galmine,
I am coming!
And I was like, oh, no, Hakar, don't. So I
Not Dad.
I use message, and I was like, Hakar, I'm safe. Don't run towards the big, mean, scary thing.
I'm an airship. Oh, there you are.
Okay, I'm going to go sit in front of my house now.
Protect my store.
What you saw... I wanted it. I so wanted you to be able to see it in action, but it never came up.
Yeah.
Because his dual-bladed greatsword clicked it, and it was like wreathed in the energy. And he was like, he just stood in front of his building. He was like,
I stand here now.
Because it was heading toward. I mean, you guys were in that direction. It was heading towards you. So, and you guys were like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
And you heard it fighting, and then you just. Mary was like, oh, where are we going?
Away.
We're like, away from that.
He's headed south.
Yeah. We also, around this time, got a little call on our message bracelets from Zolto.
Hello.
What's going on?
It hadn't occurred.
What did you do?
It hadn't occurred to any of us that the guy making the bracelets might, I don't know, piggyback one of our bracelets for himself. It's probably mine.
Whose fault that you didn't think of it? All of yours.
It's probably mine.
All of your fault.
He's not there to defend himself.
Because, I mean, an artificer who has an ability to do that is definitely gonna.
Yeah.
Especially for his, like, number 3 clients. You're not definitely not number 2 or number 1.
No. We've bought one thing from him.
Exactly.
You bought something. It's good.
He's a bad salesman. Where's number 3?
No, you're number 3 because you work with Wesley, and then he knows you'll be back.
Okay.
He knows you'll need stuff more.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong.
Exactly.
So, he was like, oh, I'm going to take all of this clockwork for myself. And we're like, no, don't touch the clockwork. It's bad.
Like, I know.
And we're like, okay,
don't be
whatever.
silly. He has a better relationship with you. I mean, you are going to pay him a large sum of money for...
I was going to say, eventually I have to pay him for that dagger.
So he's going to be nice to you until you stop and are unable to pay him.
Yeah.
He wants you to pay him. That's good business, as being like, hey, we're friends, you can pay me back. Until you don't pay him back. And he'll go, remember my mechanical dog? It's hungry.
He doesn't have a stomach, but he's
hungry. So yeah, you guys went off and just chilled out over the ocean for a while as you learned about the ship.
Yes.
And how it works and how it's a little bit different than the Capital's airships that are blimps.
Yeah, this one's a magic ship. Runs on magic
That
stones.
it was found.
That was found, not stolen.
Right.
Definitely nobody died in the stealing of the ship.
No, we're going to murder the fact that
we found it.
Right.
Put that fact 6 feet under, or swimming with the fishes.
Probably could have incited that, but to be honest, didn't want to.
Someone tried to.
And they know, but they did not share it.
Yeah.
Which was smart. Player growth.
Yes.
Watch the episode, you'll see.
Yeah.
So you guys learn how it works, that it works on, a crystal gem battery.
Yes, which is usually just filled with the element that you want to use. Like
Either air or water right now. There's no real way to fill it with anything else.
To which Soren and Cal were like, what about fire?
It could run
on magma!
And then immediately they were like, this boat is made of wood.
And we're like, we'd find a way around
magic wood.
Go for it. No. Rock. Just put rocks down there.
Just shove
That's
like
just
a bunch
called
of dirt.
That's just called beaching your ship. Okay.
So you're telling me we fill it with earth, it could sail on land. It's a car now.
No.
We have car.
No. You have a car.
We have a car.
But no, it cannot be. That will not work.
Are you sure?
If you will beach your ship.
We'll fill the jewels with sand. It'll be a sand ship.
Okay.
Sounds legit.
So they found out there are sails and different ways to use this normally if you don't want to use the power to propel yourself. And you split up the duties between Solomon driving and Liren checking in on the battery to make sure everything's working properly.
Yeah. While the rest of us
Enjoy
exotic sausages. Various exotic sausages. Keep an eye out for the new merch, Various Exotic Sausages.
No.
Coming soon.
I don't want to design that shirt.
I meant like unusual animals that had been murdered for their meat.
Yeah, exotic sausages.
That's what you meant, but what you said was various exotic sausages.
Because that's what you'd call it. It's a plethora of exotic sausages. Post in the comments below if you're on my side or if you're on the wrong side. I want to see.
Team Exotic Sausage.
Team Exotic Sausages.
Team, everyone knows what you mean.
Exotic sausages. It's more of a meme.
Anyway, you spent some time, you learned how you pilot the ship, and then you rested, and you begin to take off towards the Savage Lands, where you're going to drop off Mary and Fred.
Yes.
Which you learn that Mary and Fred are married.
Yes.
Yeah.
After Solomon insulted her to Fred. It's like, oh, your wife, Mary seems pretty shifty. Can we trust her? And he was like, that's my wife!
You're singing
Cringe.
sucks.
Yeah, and then Solomon was like, you're not a bard, are you? Oh, Mary,
I love your singing.
How could this happen? You guys made it to the outskirts, and you were told again to not fly over the jungle.
Right,
Yes.
because apparently the trees don't like it if you fly over them.
Sam puts it as, the trees get jealous.
They do. They don't like things that are taller than they are.
And they will make sure you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you landed in the water.
Yeah. Before we landed, I had a dream,
Mm-hmm.
and Azazel was like, hey, we gotta meet in a month, because there's gonna be a draft for the Warlock thing. And Cal was like, hold up.
There's a draft?
There's a draft.
Welcome
Please
to
explain.
the Warlock
Please
Games.
explain.
Bum, 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 bum.
Because Cal was like, okay, so it's just like we're on Team Azazel, and like we just fight people. Like, okay, cool.
No.
Yeah, but apparently that's not how that
There's
works.
a whole tier system. There's a whole, different groups. This is the whole story arc.
And apparently, if Cal's not there, then
Lilith gets to draft her.
gets to say, which I'm sure that won't be a plot point.
I gave you win. I gave you the win.
So we get to this place. We dock the ship.
Well, before we even do
But
for breakfast, we did find out more about what they were looking for. The seed of rejuvenation.
Yeah, the seed of rejuvenation.
Right? Is it rejuvenation?
Regeneration.
Rejuvenation.
I mean,
It sounds similar.
Yeah.
they're close enough.
Yeah.
You learn that what it is, what it can do, how it can be, disrupted into not doing good things.
Yeah, it's one of those things. All I could think about was like the whole situation with the Yingu and like the leeching of evil throughout the lands.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna do this with just this thing, grenade.
Basically,
you learn that it's about a year. You have about 7 months to a year until the island begins to be more and like heavily affected.
Yes.
So you can take that as you want. You guys also learned that she thinks it's the postman, but she has no idea. That was just her only lead.
Right.
And you two also had a moment at night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 'cause sort of went up to be like, I'll sleep upstairs so that people don't have to sleep out in the weather. And Cal was already there.
Yeah.
Because she had forgot about the birds.
Yeah. Dang birds.
Yeah.
Ruining everything.
Rats with wings.
What? those are bats.
No bats.
No, it's pigeons.
Okay,
So
pigeons, yeah.
you two had a heart to heart, and it was more of like a moment where they both were like, okay, we have time. We have some time. Maybe, just maybe, we've both been jerks.
Right.
Maybe.
We're not going to say we are.
I'm not gonna say who was the bigger asshole, but
That's all we need
joke?
to say. So then you guys had a moment where you guys talked and...
Right, Sword was saying that he wasn't really handling his dad's death very well. It was all very fresh, because in game time, it's only been like 3-4 days.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been like a week at this point.
yeah.
So you guys have had time to... Like, you guys had time to talk, and you guys pretty much are like, hey, we're family, we're going to fight, but we always have each other's backs.
Right.
And that was, as a DM, I was like, oh, it's finally happening.
Yeah.
It only took this long to get team unity.
Well, it's one of those things where Callum sort of had tried to do that before, but then it was just one of those things where in-game things happen, and something like a parent death.
Emotion ran high.
Yeah.
And things were forgotten, and things were just, glazed over because of emotions. They kind of just ramp over things.
Yeah.
So, but now there's a deeper understanding.
Right. And we decided that you're mom and I'm dad.
Which doesn't make any
This is our little
sense.
family. Yeah.
It does literally makes no sense.
Because I actually care about the people.
Well, no, because
She's
Cal has
distant
become
and aloof
team
and
mom
drinks.
more. You've definitely team dad.
Yeah.
You're definitely the one that's like, I'll hit you, child. And you're definitely like, hey, you did a stupid. Let me clean up your forehead. Come here.
Some healing.
You're dumb.
But gone are the days of wait until your father gets home. I mean, let's be
Eldritch Blast!
I mean, yes, but you've taken over the den mother more because literally you epitomized it with Morena.
How about
you
this?
did a stupid.
Can I just be
kill
like
you.
Can I
did
just be
stupid.
like Team Crazy Aunt that drinks a lot?
There you go.
There we go.
What are you, a single parent?
Always.
You got this. I believe it.
I mean, your mom's a single parent now. Hey yo!
Bird.
Now we're sad.
But Solomon overheard this conversation.
Yep. As he would, because his
As
passive
he was
is
sitting there
24.
going, what do you do with the
Drunken
drunken
cleric.
sailor?
What do you do with the drunken
Sully, he was
cleric?
hearing about 75% you said of what
Yeah.
happened.
So we heard you like, do we have to be nice to the monkey? And he was just like,
Well, no, she was like, be nice to the monkey. He was like, do I have to?
Which Chris did a wonderful job of Solomon not being, being aloof enough and being like coy enough to be like, yeah, I heard you.
Yeah.
For not to be like outright, be like, stop calling me monkey. So then you guys had, they left. They let you know how to reach them
Right.
by going into the center, like the straight path from where you moored.
Right.
So on your maps, I will mark where you landed now, so you can mark that
So we can eventually at some point get back.
and not be like, well, we're on the wrong side of the island. Let's just head in.
Yeah.
Into the woods.
I think you're clever, making references. So then you guys had
Beach
day.
day.
Finally got beach day. Now, it should be mentioned, I think it's hilarious, by the way, that Mary had told us that there was a wonderful little resort town just south of where we were. And yet Cal's like,
No.
That's
resort town with people, empty beach with no people. Empty beach.
Empty beach.
For sure. 100%.
to which hilarity ensued. I don't want to go into it because you need to watch it because things happened in an order of events that's just like, the biggest question I had to ask myself is, what do I use to determine this?
Yes. What roll equals this?
So I had to make a lot of those calls. So watch the episode and let me know what you would use for those. I thought that it was justified in what I did, but I'd like to see the various reasonings for other rolls, because multiple things could have been done. You guys had fun. You attempted to kill someone on accident. Dolphins were ridden. You, though,
I hung out underwater for a long time because I could breathe underwater, and I was like, this will be fun.
And were visited by
a new friend.
Yes, well, friend is a strong word. So my necklace glowed, saying that the gods were close, and it wasn't Thor or Odin.
It doesn't let you know who it is.
No, it's just like, there's a god near you.
A Nordic god is close by.
And I'm like, all right, cool. So I sat down.
It's Fenrir.
Oh, close. Very close. It's his dad, Loki. And it was one of those things where, because Soren is well enough versed in the history of it, so it wasn't going to be like, hi, you don't know who I am. I know who you are. You totally don't know. I know you are, Loki. Oh, crap. Anyway.
Well, he figured you knew him. But you were surprised that he knew you.
Yes.
You were like, you speak of me?
Just like, I don't deal with you.
I don't like that you know about me. What does Freya think?
Freya, I want to know Freya and Sif. Are they cool? Are they...
He wouldn't tell you.
No, he wouldn't.
He would have lied. He'd be like, yeah, they hate you.
So, okay, fair enough. I can see why.
So, yeah, you had...
That would be Soren's response, by the way.
So you had a night, and he did what Loki does and tried to entice you.
Yes. He's like, hey, let's race to the other side of the island. No, you want me to go into the woods, don't you? What?
Why would I?
Why would I do that?
If you do it, I'll tell you about the magical tree.
And of course, again, it just comes down to, and this is where there's that little...
Tristan wants to know.
I want to know, but Soren is going to have much more of that mentality of what the Norse people would have for that, where it's like, if the tree wants to tell me something, it will reveal its secrets to me. But what if it can't? Well, then that's not the tree's fault. It's not my fault, and it will tell me eventually. Well, Odin won't tell you. Like, yeah, Odin's not going to do it for me. That wouldn't be cool. Odin's going to have me make sure I do it on my own. Fine. No fun.
He'll come back.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Now that you have made contact, if you've noticed, when you make contact, it's easier for that god to interact with you.
Yeah.
Now that you rolled what was it?
I rolled a natural 20.
You've made it that much easier for Loki to interact with you.
Yay!
How did you like Loki's portrayal?
He seems very much like Loki in a lot of lore.
Good.
And the tricky thing with Loki is that most of the time he's seen as the villain because of what he is.
Yeah, and that's why he wasn't going to do anything to hurt you.
Yeah, no, I know.
Well,
I mean, there's that...
No, he was going to put you in a position where if you messed up, you'd hurt yourself.
Right.
He wasn't going to be hurting you.
Oh, I was referring more to the stingray.
No, that was because he was just sitting in the water.
Yeah.
Loki had nothing to do with that. He was just sitting in the water.
Yeah. Well, and it's always that thin line with Loki, because, in most, the comic books and stuff like that, Loki,
he's the villain.
He's portrayed as a villain, when he's usually just a god. Like, the Norse people just go, if you're looking for fun and pranks and stuff like that, it's Loki. Not necessarily a bad guy. And, very much as a god of that, he's going to do stuff like that. Like, hey,
and I work very hard.
Woods.
I work very hard to find that balance.
Yes.
Where it's not just he's obviously evil, because he's not.
No. Because technically his alignment is what? Chaotic neutral?
Yes. He would be the most neutral god.
Does whatever the heck he wants.
I mean, he would, if he needs help with, I don't know, the entire realms of existence blinking out of existence, he might not like that because he's part of that.
Right. Or I could see him doing something like, hey, Fenrir's in trouble. Or
can you go save my kid?
Yeah.
Or mom's in danger.
Stuff like that. So, no, I was waiting for the day that he showed up, because I know you and I have joked time and time again about Loki in general.
And now he can show up more.
Yes.
So, you guys, after that, I mean, the stingray, you should use animal handling, you're just like, get out of here.
Yeah, I have decent animal handling. It's like, I'm a stingray. I'm like,
he might have even punctured your hide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you came out of the water and found
Cal strangling
the whole situation. To which Azazel showed us, like, because, inebriated individuals had a conversation.
Yes.
Speak and he shall appear. Azazel was like, what do you want? Stop saying my name. I have some time. What do you need? I mean, it's different. Not every demon will get like a ching. If he's like Yangu, he's not gonna be like, someone's talking about me. You have a connection. Like,
right, you essentially have a speaker.
Yeah, so he was just like, what are you talking about me for?
He was pocket dialed.
Yeah. What do you need? And so you had a nice conversation. Solomon took it a lot better than I thought he would.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The situation could have gone.
He was drunk.
Which is good. It probably worked for your favor.
Yeah.
You had a nice conversation, a little more in-depth to the lore, and a little more understanding and cohesiveness for the group. So you guys did your 2-hour melodrama of the Stormbreakers' tales.
Oh yeah, when we caught the new members up, because I really wanted to, if we
not
had
take 2 hours in game, it took like 2 hours.
Yeah.
They did like a show.
Yeah, because I really wanted to catch the two newer members up on like, hey, Clockwork is going to keep coming back, guys. These are things to definitely be aware of.
It's not just after us. It's just there are dark forces in the world and it's happening.
Yeah, it was one of those things like, so even things like vulnerabilities that we are aware of and stuff like that. Like, I want them to know. Like, Soren would want them to know.
Yeah.
Please tell
That
me.
way, they're not just like, how do we defeat these things? Like, lightning and acid. Those two have been working pretty well for right now.
Easy peasy.
Unless they're rhinos.
Unless
no
they're
lightning.
rhinos.
Or a storm giant.
Or a storm giant.
No
lightning.
Yeah, because we did see that happen where he shot lightning during that fight.
Then I was like, oh, wait.
Oh. You're like, that's not supposed to happen.
So, yeah, you guys had that, and then you guys retired for the night.
Yes.
Did your watch. You guys got spooked by a giant octopus.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious. In retrospect, a giant octopus has a CR of 1. Morena could take it without using magic.
Which is fine.
You guys were just like, nope, don't know what it is. Don't know what it is, right?
I thought they were whales.
Yeah, you rolled enough to see them, not enough to see what it was doing.
Yeah.
Because the tentacle was coming up and, like, whipping over, so
I thought it looked like a whale was, like, cresting. And
Yep, nope, it was just a tail coming out and going, there's a bird. There's a fish.
So then, once Solomon was like, that's a giant octopus, guys, we're like, maybe we should go down to the resort where they probably have a little bit more protection from those kind of things.
And you guys went back to bed, because it was at the end, it was like during his shift. He was like, you guys go back to bed, like...
I'll start driving.
Yeah.
Because with this, you could just activate because you filled it with water.
Yes.
Unknowingly. Just...
Yeah.
And you went over and docked and, had a chill morning. And then went over to the resort.
Right, which looked like a crappy sea town at first.
It did. It was like, this looks like somebody just, like, made a town
with
out
a big sign above it.
Yeah. What did it say?
The funnel of fun! It did not look like fun.
Sets off alarm bells on some levels.
That's on you guys. So you guys walked up and then, somebody came out and was like, welcome to the funnel of fun!
Which set off more alarm bells.
We're like, don't trust him.
You've conditioned us at this point.
It's on you.
Anytime something says fun or somebody's cheery, they're horrible.
Which is good, because that means you guys are constantly on your toes, but you guys will be pleasantly surprised when bad things don't happen, which is good, and you'll still be surprised on how bad things happen, just not that bad things happen.
Right.
So which is good. You guys are in a nice sense of self-preservation, and you're not going to do
it's called paranoia.
You're not going to do chaotic, stupid things.
And it might cause chaotic, stupid things.
So you guys were like, what is going on? She's like, we'll dock your boat. We'll take care of it for gold. You guys just come on in. We'll go through real quick. And you guys walked past some tiki torches that were on the outskirts. And what'd you see?
A magical world of adventure and fun. Like Disneyland.
Yeah, pretty much. You pretty much saw like a snippet of Disneyland, like one of the areas of Disneyland just pulled out and put on a beach. It was wonderful. It's great. You have, the Typhoon Bar.
Which Cal's like, all right, I'm sold.
You've seen the funnel, which is a whirlpool that doesn't go down. It just spins around, and because of how the inlet and the water is, it goes in, spins around, and there's a tiny outlet that after so much velocity comes out. So it's a constant flow of water, so people can just spin around for a while and relax. You saw people playing games. You saw every single... all the races were there perfectly fine. No one was subjugated or anything except for humans. Every valet was a human.
Right.
So you guys were like, we can stay here a night. One night's fine.
Yeah.
Solomon, go dock it. We're going to be at number 1. And you guys saw like a cartoon bugbear, like a number 1 sign. Yay! So yeah.
And that's where we ended, was like, welcome to the fun of fun. And we're like, don't trust that.
Don't trust that at all.
So you guys. So yeah, what are your thoughts about the last 2 sessions?
Well,
A roller coaster of emotion.
I mean, definitely with the end, and this is just the stuff that Sam and I have talked about. I was like, we're definitely getting Lotus Eater vibes from Funnel Fun.
Oh yeah.
As far like worst case scenario, that's what Sam and I as players are like.
Best case scenario, it's fine.
Worst case scenario, Lotus Eaters.
Medium case scenario, the humans are just treated like slaves.
Luckily, none of us are humans.
Yeah.
But your boyfriend's human.
Right.
Boyfriend.
Totally.
We here at Roll Call Studios. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up the last 2 sessions. So hopefully, you guys are caught up on everything and you get a little more insight from this and are prepared for tomorrow.
Yeah, should definitely be prepared for tomorrow.
The Funnel of Fun!
The Typhoon Bar. We'll probably split
It's a multi-layer bar.
We'll probably split the party. I'm thinking. My money's is that Soren and Solomon go to the whirlpool, and that me and the girls go.
Leon will probably go to the whirlpool.
It's water. She's water.
Oh, that's true. Okay, me and Morena are gonna go get trashed.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, yeah. With Morena, you also learn that she hates Raviscon, and she's canonically now has been like, screw you, Raviscon. I'm living my own life.
Yeah.
And is now on a mission, from what we can tell, to experience and do as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which Cal's corruption.
Because even her character is really young,
Yeah.
especially for something like a half elf.
Yeah, she's young.
She's a youngin',
She's
so
a baby.
So she's like a rebellious teenager right now.
and she is just experiencing everything. A rebellious teenager with the power to
Murder people with tentacles?
yes.
Yeah, it's like
That's the best way to
you
put
give
that.
an angsty teenager a gun and $1 million.
Pretty much.
And you were like, all right, now you're emancipated. And
Go
they're
at
like,
it.
heck yeah!
Yep.
Screw you!
So that should be a fun time.
Yeah,
Can't wait to see
Yeah.
what happens.
So,
Can't wait to see what kind of shenanigans go right.
yeah, I can't wait to see you guys experience
Fun.
town. The Funnel of Fun! New merch coming soon.
Oh gosh, I gotta design that. It's gonna look like an Umbrella Corp logo.
Oh,
Why
man.
would you do that?
Oh, man.
It's just gonna be a spiral. that
At
says
least
Funnel of
wait
Fun.
until you know.
At least
Doing
wait
that.
until we know how evil it is, and then you can base the merchandise off of how evil it should
Nope,
look.
now it's gonna look like the Umbrella Corp logo.
So, and
Alright.
that covers my end.
Yep. So
Yeah.
we will see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you for joining us, and hope you enjoyed.
Bye.